Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, so we're going to do buy versus rent.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to talk about this article. We're going to use some specific numbers, but we're also going to talk about the general problem, which is trying to time buy versus rent.
Right. And then remember, this is very market specific. So you may live in a market where the inverse of this applies. So please bear with us. If you're in Vegas, this is what we're talking about. But again, real estate is hyper-local, so stick around and let's figure this out together.
Okay, here's an article. Just came out a week ago. It now costs 52% more to buy a home than rent one. Never been a worse time. Juana, that makes absolutely no. How does it cost more to rent? You don't buy it. When you rent a home, you're not buying it. So you're not paying more to rent the house, right?
Right.
What are they talking about here?
So they're talking about payments, but even that is kind of misleading because, of course, that all depends on your market. It depends on the amount of down payment. It depends on the purchase price. It depends on the interest rate. It depends on a whole lot of things.
Okay, so what we did is we're going to do this buy versus rent comparison. We're going to talk about some specific numbers. We picked a specific house in Las Vegas, just that is a generic, maybe like rental house here. So first thing we did is we said, okay, let's go figure out what interest rates are right now according to Freddie Mac. Okay, this is the U.S. Weekly Primary Mortgage Market Survey from Freddie. 7.79% for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Of course, a 15-year 7.03. So we're going with the 7.79. You can use any number you want. Just the numbers changed a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. The whole point of this is the interest rates don't really matter. When we talk about this, you'll see why. Okay, so what we did is we picked a house. So we have a bunch of rental houses, and we help investors. So we kind of understand the going rate of rentals and that. So we're going to talk about a house that's $400,000.
Okay.
This would be a house in a decent area, wouldn't it?
Yeah, decent area, probably 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, probably somewhere around maybe 1,600 square feet. So, your basic 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or 2.5 bath, right?
Yep. Okay, so we're going to do a 30-year fixed 20% down. Now, a lot of people are going to say, but Todd, 20% down, that's $80,000. Mm-hmm. Right? What are your chances of trying to get a house without anything, just 100% or what these, first of all, those loans don't exist unless you're doing VA, right?
Well, there are some loans out there. There are some loan products, and we've kind of talked about them before. I think that they're rather predatory because the payments end up being so high if you're financing 100% or nearly 100% of the purchase price. But by and large, the loans out there are anywhere between 10% down and up.
Okay. So your payment, and this is only principal, interest, tax, insurance. Mm-hmm. Okay. So a 30-year fixed for 320 loan, if you put 80,000 down, would be 2734. Of course, your payment would be more if you put less down, right? Mm-hmm. Be over 3,000 if you're getting an FHA loan where you only, if you would get the house accepted at that, you could qualify for it. Mm-hmm. 2,300, one of that is principal and interest.
Right.
And then 433 is your taxes and homeowners insurance.
Okay.
And I picked an exact would and looked at what they would be to figure that. That's a $400,000 rental.
Okay.
That gets $2,000 a month.
Okay.
So the numbers work out. They're pretty nice numbers. So rent is $2,000. So the average person looks at this, and this is what they're saying. Now in this case, it's not 50% more, but it's more. To rent, if you rented a house for $2,000. To buy the same house would be $2,734. You'd also have to have the $80,000 for down payment.
Right, which is not a small amount of money.
So the first year you're saving $8,808 in just your payment, right off the top, right?
Right. So
and that's what people are looking at. They say, I don't have the $8,000.
Right. So it is less expensive off the get-go to rent.
Okay.
Okay.
Now remember, we're not advocating for you to do one or the other.
Right.
We're just trying to get you to understand these principles. Mm-hmm. Now, so let's look at, before we do that one, let's talk about this really quick. The idea is that the reason it's the worst time is just because interest rates are really high. If interest rates were 3% again, it would be a fantastic time to buy versus rent because you could probably get your payment less than a rent payment if interest rates were 3%.
Maybe. It depends on what you bought the house for, because if interest rates were 3%, then the house might go for more money than what
Okay.
you're currently buying it
We're
for.
just
So-
saying if you bought the house for 400,000,
Right.
it
Yes.
would be less. Okay.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in some numbers. Now, these numbers are general numbers, historical numbers. We're not saying this will happen. We're not saying anything. We're just picking a number, okay? Home prices have appreciated 4.75% per year on average for the last 30 years. Some years they went up more, like the last 3. Some years they went down a little bit. Some years they didn't go up very much. But most of the years they kind of went up 3, 4, 5%, right? So we're just going to, I don't know what's going to happen, but we're just going to say this is what happens, okay? So at the end of the first year, that house that was 400,000 is now 419.
Okay.
And 2 years later, it's 439
Okay.
because it kept going up at 4.75%. Not unreasonable, because we know of a house that was 320 2 years ago that's now worth 400,000, and it's exactly this type of rental house. Okay, so it went up. In this case, it went up 80,000. But we're just saying it in 2 years it only goes up 40,000, right? Now, well, let's say in 2 years the interest rate's 5.79%, so 2% lower. Now, a person says, you know what? Now that rates are down, now I'm going to buy. I didn't see that bad headline about buy versus rent, right? But Juana, what are they faced with? Yes, interest rates are less 2 years later, but what are they dealing with?
Well, now that $400,000 house is $439,000. It is possible that they're facing a little more competition because interest rates are more moderate, and people have been hunting for a house and hoping for a house at 2 years from now for at least 3 years, right? And so there's going to be probably some more competition.
Okay, so you can get a lower payment because remember, interest rates are down, even though you're paying more for the house. So your payment, and this is still 20% down, is $2,464. It's $2,000 of it is principal interest. $433 is your taxes, insurance, right? Now rent has gone up. So rents on average go up 5% a year. So your rent would be $2,100 by the start of the second year. It would be $2,200 because you pay $2,000 for the whole first year, then $2,100 for the whole second year, and then by the start of the next year, would be $2,200, right? So you're actually like, hey, instead of paying $2,200, I'll just buy the damn house, and you feel good about that. You say, you know what? I'm glad I didn't buy when it was the absolute worst time you could have ever bought in history. And I don't know why my neighbor bought, because my neighbor bought 2 years ago. He bought when the house was $400,000, but he had a higher rate. But my payment's less than his, right?
Right.
So I pay a little less than payment. Okay, now we're going to throw up these numbers here and then we're going to talk about them. And remember, we're just trying to give you guys principles because whatever market you're in or whatever, it's better for you to understand these principles. And we're not telling you it's a good time to buy, so stop it right now. I don't want to see it. If I see the comments, I'm deleting it, okay? And I'm sending you to YouTube jail. Okay, you're going to go to YouTube jail. Okay, Juana, let's talk about the first one. The person who bought the house in year 0 instead of renting gets they reducing their principal every time they make that $2,700 payment by $225. Okay, that is something the renter doesn't get. That's building equity.
Right. So think of it this way: instead of your payment being $2,700, it's more like $2,500 because you're reducing the principal payment. So now you're judging that $2,000 rent payment against really $2,500. Because of your principal reduction. So your difference at that point is, in actual dollars, is about $500. This is not considering things like the mortgage interest deduction, because not everybody gets it. Not everybody gets it in the same way. So let me give you a quick example. If you are single, your deduction for drawing breath is $12,550. So a lot more of your interest would be able to be deductible, right? Because your interest that you're paying is roughly $24,000 a year, and that's more than $12,500, which is what you get for breathing. So you actually get a bigger tax deduction, which is great. If you're married, your deduction for just breathing is like $25,000 or something like that. So that's kind of a push. So you're not really gaining anything there.
I think what's interesting is the tax law actually punishes low-income people because they don't really get the chance to get the deduction. It really favors people with higher incomes who pay bigger mortgage payments because they get past the standard deduction quicker. They actually get some. For the purpose of this, if you look over here, we did not include that benefit.
Right.
You may get an additional break. And for years, that was a big deal, was to get the tax break. You actually paid less in taxes because of it. In some cases, it made it a huge benefit to do that. But we're not even going to include that, right? But
Right,
that's
so-
something to think about.
Right, so we didn't include it because we're going to assume that you are married, and therefore this doesn't make any difference to you.
Okay, so $225 principal reduction, 24 months is $5,400. That reduced your loan from $320 to $314,600, right? Now, your home value though went up to $439,000. So your total equity is now $124,400, of which of that, remember, $80,000 was yours that you put down originally, but you have $44,400 additional equity.
Right, and this is a combination between your principal payments and your appreciation.
So your appreciation going up, you have the principal payments reducing your amount, and that's how you build equity, right? Remember, this is only 2 years, okay? And it's 2 years given the scenario we gave, okay? Obviously, if you bought a house in 2019, you beat this. You hugely beat this, okay, because of appreciation. Now, here's the thing. The year two buyer, the person who buys the house in year two, who waited, okay, they have zero extra equity because they just closed on the house. They only have the down payment, which remember was more than $80,000, because if they're putting 20% down, they're putting 20% of $439,000. So actually having to come up with more money. But what they saved in rent in 2 years was $16,416. So by saving $16,416, which sounds like they saved, they gave up $44,400 in equity. Now, that's for this example. If home prices go down, or if home prices don't go up as much, if the house only goes up $20,000, then these numbers are different, right? They only make $25,000 instead of $44,000, but they still beat out renting.
Right.
Okay, the reason why we're showing you this is because we want you to understand that there's other factors. And I'm going to give you an example. You tell me how people think. If I told an average person, if you give me $100 a month, at the end of a year, I will give you $2,000. Now, it's risk-free. It's 100% going to happen. It's not a gag. It's not a fake thing. I'm not going to steal the money. You're going to get it. Like, you can see it in an account. As a matter of fact, it's in an account with your name on it, and there's a specific date when all of a sudden it gets paid to you. But all you have to do is give me $100 a month. So you're going to give me $1,200 total, and at the end of the year, you're going to get $2,000. Now, would you take that deal?
I would take that deal.
But a lot of people won't take the deal. Why is that?
So a lot of people can't, because a lot of people maybe don't have the $100 a month to spare. So that's a possibility.
Okay.
Another possibility is not everybody is wired for delayed gratification. So a lot of people just spend up to what they have and maybe a little more. That's how they end up with credit card balances that keep increasing. So it just has to do with their view about money and lifestyle and the choices that they make.
Another thing to think about is this. If you say, hey, I can't afford a $2,700, I don't make enough to pay that. It's a moot point. You're not going to qualify for a loan. Right? To qualify for a loan for a $2,700 month house payment, you probably have to make about $6,500, right? A month.
Right, but then you also wouldn't have the down payment if that's what you're making. So if you're making
let's just say you inherit $80,000.
Okay.
You have the down payment money. We're
Okay.
talking about the monthly cash flows.
Okay.
The reason I put that money in is just to have a number. We could have picked any number we wanted for a down payment, but that's the actual average down payment right now. The median down payment is 20% down.
Right.
So
a couple of things to kind of keep in mind. If you're sitting there going, well, people don't have $80,000. So I would agree with you. A lot of people don't have $80,000, but a lot of people can pull $80,000 from different sources. So let me give you an example. There are down payment assistance programs that are government sponsored, and those have loan forgiveness at the end of them. For a lot of them, if you stay in the house for a certain number of years, you may borrow up to a certain amount of money from your 401k. So then you're actually paying
50 grand?
paying yourself back. So you can do that. So let's say that you needed the $80,000 and you have 50, but you don't have the rest. So what you would do is you would borrow 50,000 from your 401k, make up the difference from your savings, still have some savings left after closing, and that's how you would do it. Now, you would obviously have to pay back that money to your 401k, but that money is money that's your money and you're paying it back to yourself, which is a good thing. And you're investing in yourself, you're investing in your home, so that's a good thing. It's not for everybody, but it's just one avenue to get there.
The reason why waiting can be bad, not saying it is, it could be bad, is because you can never go back and buy the house in the past. Like all the people who said, I wish I could go back to 2011, I would have bought 40 houses when they were $80,000, because those houses now are $360,000, $370,000. You could buy $80,000 here in Vegas. They're getting, back then the 80 grand, they were getting $1,000 a month rent. Now they would be worth $360,000. You'd have quadrupled your money, 4x plus 4.5x your money, plus you'd be getting $2,000 a month.
Right.
Right? So you can't do that. And you've lost that whatever appreciation. Now, if you're going to argue, but Todd, the crash, home prices are going to crash. Okay, it's possible. But what if they don't, right? They were supposed to crash in 2019.
So look, home prices will go down, home prices will go up. But real estate is the long game. We've talked about this a lot. So if you're looking for something that you're going to be able to get in and out of in a short amount of time, then real estate is not for you. If you're looking for something for the long run, and I mean 10 years plus minimum, then real estate might be something to consider.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. We've never said, oh, exactly, home prices are going to do this in whatever market. But I know this. In 10 years, I'm betting home prices are going to be more, which is why we didn't sell a bunch of rentals when home prices shot up. Right? I'm betting rents are going to be more. So I'm betting we can get more income off the houses and the houses will be more. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if in the next year or two, home prices go down. If they go down, it's an opportunity to maybe grab a couple more houses.
Right. I mean, for a lot of people who have rental property, real estate is the long game and they're going to hold on to them for forever and a day, basically. They're just going to keep collecting rent. They're going to keep maintaining them, maybe improving them, and maybe they're going to leave them to their heirs, or maybe they're going to keep them until such time as they need those funds and then sell them off one by one, whatever their strategy is. But we know that the single largest group of single-family rentals is actually mom and pop investors, right? Like you and I, who own, 1, 2, 3, 4 rentals. That we are the largest segment. Mm-hmm. And so long as the current tax policy remains in place, we're probably all going to hold on to our properties. Something that Congress may consider is giving us maybe a hiatus from the capital gains tax on our real estate, and that might bring a lot of us to market to sell our properties, and that would definitely increase inventory.
That would be a whole another video we could do, maybe talk about that.
So that would be interesting.
If you want to see a video where we talk about some tax things that the government could do to get more homes on the market and do all this. But remember what's happened every time there's been a tax benefit in real estate, it's caused home prices to keep going up, so it doesn't really help.
Yes, so there are a lot of unintended consequences because as much as lawmakers have a goal in mind, right? They're trying to socially engineer us to behave in a certain way so they can meet whatever their goal is. There are lots of unintended consequences. So subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so when we air that video, you will be the first to be notified and watch it. And then you'll get to comment on what other creative solutions our esteemed lawmakers might come up with in order to increase inventory.
All three of them? All three of the esteemed lawmakers?
All three.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
So we gave you some examples about buying versus selling. And like I said at the start, we're not advocating buying versus renting. Okay, we're not advocating one way or another. We understand that real estate is hyper-local, even within our own market, right? Even within Las Vegas, there are places where it is far more advantageous to rent than it is to buy. It just depends on the market segment, let alone wherever you are across the country or across the world. So let us know where you're watching from. Remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video, share the video, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.